Everybody loved him. Hundreds of people would be by the courthouse, and he, put up his finger to the government, and that's it. This man is dying, and you still have him in solitary confinement. He was tied, his feet to the bed, and his hands were tied to the bed. People want to question if my father was weak or tough. He had a severe kidney infection. He was sick. He didn't get to see a doctor. By the time he got off the bus, he was covered in blood. If there was ever a time to become a rat or something, it would have been then. No, instead he fought 5 trials. Eli has never had any conversation with my father. You lie about my son? Like, this is how sick they are. I defend my family. I think I do a pretty good job of defending my family. But other people defend my family also. I don't ask them to do it, but they do. Hello, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Everyone,
everyone.
we have Carolyn. Caroline is back. We have Yuko and we have Suzanne. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So who wants to go first? I'm going to say hello to everybody as we go along, okay?
Okay. All righty.
So
So go ahead.
I don't know who's going to start first.
I'll go
So
first.
you want to introduce everybody, Caroline?
Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Caroline Cantelmo, and it's so great to be back here with Angel. And Angel, thank you a million times over for bringing these issues, these awareness for women issues. So we could bring it to light so everyone can understand what goes on. Anyway, in the meantime, we have with us tonight Miss Suzanne Reisenbichler. And Suzanne had a story of domestic violence. And being that this segment tonight is going to be about rape, Suzanne's going to talk to you a little bit about intimate partner rape and violence. Also, we have lovely Miss Yuko Murase, and she's here with us tonight. And Yuko is going to talk to us a little bit about domestic violence that goes on within your immigrant women in the immigrant communities. So let me get started. Then, of course, everyone knows beautiful Marla and beautiful Angel. So I guess we're all introduced and we're all in. Anyway, so I said, my name is Caroline Cantelmo. I am a survivor and an advocate for domestic violence, and I serve on the Voices Committee for the New York City Mayor's Office. I'm also the founder of the United Women's Advocacy Group. It's just basic, not a big fancy group, just a group of advocate women who advocate for sexual violence and domestic violence. And we keep we exchange information, we help each other out, and it's really a great group, which I'm very proud to be the founder of. Also, I'm a public speaker throughout the New York City area. I have spoken out in Manhattan's Foley Square and many other public rallies for violence against women in New York City. Again, so tonight we have the wonderful Suzanne Reisenbecker, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about her real life story, some of the details and what had happened to her and her recovery. And she's doing wonderful, I'm very proud to say. And again, Yuko is with us tonight, our international advocate. She's going to speak to us about, what happens in a lot of areas for, women, immigrant women. So now, first off, what I wanted to say was would like to dedicate this presentation to my wonderful twin sons, Chad and Craig. They have given me so much support. They brought me through some of my darkest days, and those guys are my rock. And also, I would like to dedicate this presentation to Suzanne's beautiful 7 children. Suzanne is everything to them, and they give her much love and support. And also, Yuko's son, Kai, who's a great musician, he holds his mother very dear in his heart.
Well,
Okay,
that was so nice. Now,
thank
now,
you.
Thank you so much.
Suzanne,
Okay, so
Suzanne is the mom from the Wolf
right,
Pack, the
right,
documentary that we told
right.
everybody to watch. I hope everybody
Yeah.
did.
Okay,
But
I'm
go
just
ahead.
gonna,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
just gonna say one other little thing, and then I'm gonna turn you over to Suzanne and let her tell you her very real life story.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to say that, mention that during this presentation, sometimes it could be a little triggering, some of the things that we speak about. So if anybody feels some kind of discomfort in hearing this, you can pause and take a break, take a deep breath, and then return after. So I'll get started. Now I turn you over to Suzanne. Suzanne, go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. Hello, everyone. It is so nice to be here. And kudos and hats off to Angel and Marla. I am so grateful to be able to speak at a platform like this, to bring information to people, to bring awareness to people, to basically make vulnerability okay. Like, it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to be honest with yourself, first of all, and also other people about what you have experienced. Um, Silence is a real killer of empowerment. And the more we are silent, the more guilt we feel, and the more shame we feel, and the more judgment for ourselves and from everybody else. And I can speak from my own personal experience. When I started speaking out and giving myself a voice, that's when I stopped feeling the shame. I stopped caring about judgment that somebody else might be thinking or saying about me. And I began to empower myself using my own voice and saying, this is who I am. And I am not ashamed of anything that I have lived through or done. There is no reason on earth for anyone to be ashamed about past experiences or past trauma or what. It doesn't matter if you've been a victim or if you're a survivor, if you were the perpetrator. There is no shame in telling your story and in being honest with yourself and with other people. So yeah, that's I'll get on my bandwagon. What I just would like to say a few things about myself. I'm a domestic violence and trauma counselor now, and I'm a hypnotherapist and also a breath worker. And I do a lot of public speaking events. I've been in another documentary since the Wolf Pack, and I've been busy this whole past year since Tribeca in 2022. Our movie premiered, and we've been going all around the country and internationally as well, appearing at film festivals and leading dialogues and just informing people about trauma and what documentary participants have to go through, what a lot of them go through. Um, so I've been on a big, like a public speaking stage, and I'm also a consultant with the film industry to see about participants who are filming a documentary, or it could be a film, like how the participants are being, how the actors are being, and how the film crew is relating with each other around whatever it is that they're filming, and how they're relating to the participants, like in the documentary or in the film. And it's my job to bring awareness and compassion and understanding to all of those people. So that's also part of what I do. My love is hypnotherapy. I use that a lot to work with clients one-on-one to begin to empower themselves and process all of the violence and the assault that they went through.
Do you find that works?
Yes.
It's very successful?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely, yes. And what I have found is that hypnotherapy is like driving in the express lane for overcoming trauma and getting yourself and your life back on track. It cuts through you could be going to a counselor for weeks and weeks and months and spending hours talking about things and working through it. But what hypnotherapy does is it cuts to the chase because it goes right to your subconscious where all of those patterns are held.
So
And
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So you're telling me that you hypnotize people and they really, because I was hypnotized once and it did not work on me.
well, it maybe depends on who it was, and also it may have had effects that you were not so aware of.
Okay.
A lot of times the effects are not like night and day, though they, suddenly you'll notice, maybe like this has happened with myself and a lot of clients will suddenly notice some weeks later, like, oh, I haven't had this thought for weeks. What happened? How come I'm not always thinking this way? And, so it comes gradually a lot
I
of
see.
times.
I
Yes,
see.
it's not like a night and day change kind
Okay.
of thing. Yes.
Okay, so Suzanne, can you take us, to the beginning of when you met your husband, and give us just like a little rundown of your story?
You see, I was telling Suzanne in the back that when you watch the documentary, it doesn't show that that there was any kind of abuse. It just shows, my impression was that okay, you weren't allowed to leave the apartment, but nobody said anything like if they did leave the apartment, they would get hit or anything like that,
Mhm.
or they would be punished,
Okay, well,
and
Suzanne
then
can tell you a little bit
yeah,
about that,
yes,
give the
Yeah,
story.
okay. Well, I will attempt to keep it very, very short because
okay,
I could spend the next 2 hours just talking about that. Um, well, we, if you watch the movie, you know that we met in Peru. I was um, traveling and I decided to go to Cusco and do the Inca Trail and go to Machu Picchu, and that's where I met my abuser. Anyway, we got together, and then because I was so unused to what a monster manipulator is like and what a narcissist is like, I had never encountered that in my life. So when he started showing signs of that, I was, as with most abusers, things don't happen overnight. It's little by little.
mhm,
So you might, notice, like he'll say, oh, I don't want you to call your friends. I just want to, let's just spend together. Let's be together, and then the next night it's the same. And so you think, oh, well, he really loves me and he just wants to be with me. And then it will be one other thing until it becomes a dozen or dozens of these little acts of control that are taking over, someone's life, and they don't even realize it, how far in they are already, because it happens very subtly and very slowly.
But he
And
didn't even let you talk to your mom, right?
no, I did not. Since the fall, it was like the fall of 1990, I did not have any contact. I was not allowed contact with my family until, as you saw in the movie, I called my mother for her birthday in January of 2014.
Oh, wow.
And so there were, I miss my father's death. I miss my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. I missed my nieces and nephews growing up and all of that. And they had no idea where I was. They hired a private investigator, which, I mean, there were, I kind of feel like, actually, I don't think it would have been that difficult to find us if you knew where to look, like how to navigate the system. But apparently they didn't know how to navigate the system, and neither did the people they hired. So because I feel like, we could have been found, but at any rate, I was not allowed contact. So that phone call in the movie was the first time I spoke to my mother. And how that
Was that
began.
25 years? Was it the first time in 25 years?
Yes,
Oh my God.
yes. And when I called that number, I didn't even know if anybody would be living there, if my mother was alive, maybe the house was sold. I had no idea. And I was told later by my nieces and nephews that my siblings wanted my mom to change her number, and she absolutely insisted she would not do that. And it was because she said, Suzanne will know my old number, and I'm not changing it because this makes me tear up.
I
She said,
know.
because maybe she will call me someday.
Oh.
And that's exactly what happened. And when I called her, I said, hello, is Frances there? And she said, this is Frances speaking. And I said, this is Suzanne. And she said, Suzanne who? And I said, Suzanne, your daughter. And there was a silence. And then she said, oh dear, I'd better sit down.
Oh.
Yes. But anyway, I think it adds a touching part in the movie. My son Mukunda filmed that part. And the part that I think is so that I just love is that, there was this intense conversation, and you got that sense from watching it, things that they said, and me crying, and, and then after it was all over and I go out of the room, Mukunda filmed the cat. It's like, and there's the cat. Yeah.
But now, did you get in trouble for making that phone call to your mom?
Well, abuser tried to talk me out of it. And I said, listen, I don't care what you say. I am calling my mom. Today is her birthday, and I am calling her because I really want to know if she's still alive. And if she is, I just want to say hi. So he left the apartment. He's like, I'm not being any part of this. So he left. And so there was a lot more freedom to speak freely. Yes.
So
Yeah.
Suzanne, can you tell us a little bit about the intimate partner sexual abuse that you endured throughout your
Yeah.
marriage?
This was I'm gonna say something in front of all these people that only a few people know of. And I feel like it's time to speak up about it, because a lot of women and men have this idea that if you're married, you cannot be raped by your husband. And that's not how it works anymore. You absolutely can be. And when I was in this domestic violence relationship, I lost my choice to decide about anything. And I lost my voice. I didn't have a voice. And so I was pretty much just subjugated and controlled and treated as an object. And I was raped. And this is, believe me, this is no exaggeration. I was raped anywhere from 2 to 7 times a day,
Oh my God.
every single day. I didn't have a choice. And sometimes I was beaten in between. And, if I was forced to have oral sex and he didn't like how it was happening. I remember one time he busted my lip open,
Oh God.
and I couldn't even move. It was all swollen and bleeding. There was blood everywhere, and he still expected me to perform. I just, and that, now it takes me back to a time when it's very demeaning to feel like I did not have a voice. And I know how it is with other people. It can be for men also, to feel like you don't have a voice. And because you are committed to this person, they're allowed to demand sex from you. And that is not bodily autonomy. And all of us, regardless of whether we believe it or not, all of us have our own bodily autonomy. We have the right to choose and to say what happens, when it happens, if it happens, and where it happens. And it doesn't matter what kind of a relationship we're in. And I feel like it is so important to speak up about that, because we have been programmed in this culture to believe that the husbands have all the power. And I mean, you know how that the old jokes that go, the wife is like, oh, I don't want to have sex, so I'll feign a headache.
Right.
Say I have a headache, and then the husband is like, oh yeah, she's got a headache again. That's abuse, and that's control. And how we've been taught to believe about that is, first of all, not accurate. And secondly, it's inhumane. What does that do for the demeaning another person?
Right.
When someone takes control over them and their choices, so that they feel like they don't have a choice. Yes.
Did your children know about all of this?
To a certain extent, yes, they did. but a lot of what went on was behind closed doors. But
Right. No,
yeah,
right.
they knew that.
No, I mean when they saw your lip was split
Oh
open,
yeah, I mean, that
didn't it
was,
upset them? I
yes,
mean, I'm sure it upset them.
yeah. That was, I mean, one time my abuser stabbed me with the scissors
Oh,
in the
come
chest
on.
in front of my youngest son. And when the blood, it just squirted out about 3 feet. It just, and
Oh,
it totally freaked out my youngest son. And then my abuser was trying to justify it. Oh, I just wanted to see how deep the scissors would go, like if there was fat there or muscle or what, he and my youngest son was just like, "You are crazy." He
oh
told him, and
God.
yeah. So yes, they were traumatized, um, from seeing me being abused,
Right.
and also from them being very, very controlled. And all of them were very abused as well. From the time they were babies, they
Oh
were abused.
God.
Yeah. Beaten and hid and, shoved and stomped on. And yeah, it's all of us were. It was
So,
really horrific.
I'm sure you're finally, I mean, you're away from him, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I kicked him out 6.5 years ago.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yes,
And
thank
what
you.
about your children? Do they see him? Do they,
No,
oh, they
no,
don't. Oh,
no,
wow.
no
Good.
contact. And
Good.
even my daughter, who is my oldest child, she's autistic and
Right.
she's also developmentally disabled. There were some years ago, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, she would ask about him once in a while. And she would ask, like, well, where is he? And I would always ask her, do you want to see him? Because I thought if she wants to see him, I will find a way for her to do that. And she would think about it for a moment and she'd go, no, I don't think so. I don't want to see.
Aw. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
So
even
now,
she doesn't want to. Yeah.
so, so how, all right, I know that you help other people and you do the hypnotherapy. Did you, was, did you have hypnotherapy as well?
Yes.
Oh, you
Yes.
did. Okay.
In my, I've been a hypnotherapist for decades. And
Oh,
in my healing process, I do my own hypnotherapy sessions.
okay.
And I also have friends who have done it long distance with me, even over the phone. You know,
Oh,
so I
really?
know this stuff works. Yeah, because it was even over the phone.
So,
So
so Suzanne, can you tell us a little bit about, okay, like when you were in this house with your children and your husband, nobody was allowed to leave, and I believe at one point a whole year went by before any of you were allowed to leave the house. So, how did you and the children fill up your time? I mean, I know you homeschooled them because you had a college education, and that was great. So tell us a little bit about, like, they constantly watched movies because this is what they weren't allowed to go out or interact with any sports or any friends or anything. So uh, tell us a little bit about how they made their own costumes and they watched the movies over and over. And that was part of the documentary, how they used uh, uh, cereal boxes to make some of their costumes. It
yes,
very creative.
yes,
Tell us a little bit about life
yeah. It's
being a
um,
friend.
they all spent time making the costumes for the movies. What they would do is they would watch a movie like 2 times or 5 times or 50 times, and then they would decide to reenact that movie. But it wasn't just, oh, okay, well then in this we'll do this scene. They did the whole movie exactly, and they would write out the script from the dialogue in the movie exactly, and they would memorize the lines. They made costumes out of whatever, like old clothes or material we had around. They used cereal boxes. One of my sons made his Batman costume, which was quite amazing,
Yes.
out of
Yes.
yoga mats and cereal box.
He made it out of yoga mats?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I
Yes.
saw that. Your kids are incredibly talented.
Incredibly
I mean,
talented.
what they've gone through, but it just seemed like they channeled their energy and they are so creative. Those little, even the toy like guns and their props,
Yes.
they made those. That
yes,
was
they
so,
did.
they're incredibly
Yeah.
talented.
And even, I mean, this is, I won't go into this aspect, but the guns even fooled the police. They thought they were real guns, and then they you know, it's like they go to pick them up and they're just cardboard things that are colored, and they're like, oh, I thought it was real, you know. So yeah, that's one thing I have to say, that they are extremely talented and creative in that how they use their time and what they did. They chose to, instead be whining and getting into depression, they chose to use artwork. And one of my sons taught himself a number of different languages.
Wow.
You know, they would do things, that's what they did with their time. They learn music. Each one of them is an accomplished musician, and they had a repertoire of over 300 songs that they played, of all kinds of music from the 50s through the, 2005. All of the music they yeah. So I do have to honor them in that way, that they are very, very creative. And, they took what was a horrific situation and used it so that they could uplift themselves.
Are any of them married?
Nope.
Oh, are they all still very close?
Yes, they are. And though it's challenging, they all live in New York City or in the area. And you would think that, oh, it's really easy to have family gatherings, but it's not. It's really challenging to get all of us together at one time. Like, it's got to be something that's planned out 2 months in advance.
How did you finally get him out?
That was a process, and this is something I can speak to for other survivors or people who are only beginning to find their voice. The whole empowerment process is just that, a process. And what you do one day, and then what you do a month later is very different. And if anyone will take tiny steps to saying, no, today, for me, it was something like, I did all the cooking and cleaning and everything, and I had to cook what he chose. And even if I had already prepared a meal, if he didn't want it, I had to cook a whole other meal. And so it was just a little thing like saying, no, this is what I'm making for dinner tonight. And that's it. That's all that I'm cooking. And that was my choice. It sounds like something simple, but it was a small step that as I did small steps like that, they build on each other. So I'm speaking to any of you who have gone through this or are at the beginning of going through that. It really is just a process, and you do only what you can each day. And it's amazing how every day you do a little something and become accustomed to that. In a year's time, it's amazing the changes that can happen. And that is what happened to me. There were very small steps I made and choices I made that were seemingly very insignificant. But when they were put together, it suddenly I jumped into a whole new realm of, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. Oh, when I say this, I don't have to cower in fear or be prepared for a fight. It's like I say it and that's it. And so because of that, I was able to increase my speaking up and my own voice. And I had read and listened to things about people, they have to leave their abuser, and I thought for a while, I thought that I just want to get out. And then I thought, why do I have to leave my home that I have been paying the rent on, that I have been taking care of with my 7 children, and go find another place to live so he can stay there? I'm like, no, we have a 4-bedroom place. This is our place. He's the one who has to leave. He's
Good for you.
And we're 8. And I thought that's crazy, to think that, okay, well, we have to leave. We just have to get away from him. It's like, no, he's the one who has to go.
And how did you finally get him to go without hitting you or?
Well, I threatened. What happened was in the final moments, I threatened him with the police, that I said, and I'll call the police, because the police knew about all of this stuff that was going on from the movie. And I said, I will call the police and I'll tell them you are beating me and arrest you, and I'll get an order of protection against you, and you won't be able to step foot in here. I said, or what I can do is call in my sons, and they will physically kick you out of this apartment.
Oh, so your sons were out already.
Yes, most of them were, not all of them, but they were like already, like, we're not having anything to do with him. So yes, so I threatened him with those 2 things, and I said, all of your clothes and all of your things, I'm going to either throw out in the hallway or I'm going to throw it out the window, and you can just pick it up. I said, if you have to leave by this date. And he did. I finally got it.
So Suzanne, can you tell us a little bit about, I think there was an incident which started everything in motion, was that one of your sons found the door was unlocked one day and he left. That's how they, how the story broke and how things came to light.
Yes. He went out because he was at a place where he just couldn't take it anymore. So one day when my abuser went to get the groceries, which was usually like a 3-hour ordeal for him because he'd be drinking, my son was like, I'm going to go out, and the door was locked and it was, secured. but he went out anyway. And the ironic thing is, he was afraid that his dad, his father, would recognize him. So he thought, I better cover my face with a mask. And so he dressed up as Michael Myers.
I know.
And went out. And of course, I have to say, my sons are very, very good actors. And he played the part, and he literally scared the bejesus out of everybody.
Yeah.
People calling the cops because he was playing the role. He was just, having fun.
Well,
And
I think it was his lack of exposure to the outside world, and to him, he thought that was normal. You could go out and walk around like that. Right?
yes,
I mean, being that he didn't have much interaction with the actual outside world. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Louis the Lions. Thank you.
Yes, that's true. That they were very socially like they were not up to par socially, so they didn't know what would be acceptable out in the community. They really didn't know. And that's what and this is another thing that you all can watch for. If you know someone who is going through this, or you have gone through this, the people who are supposed to be looking out for us and helping us, the people who are the social workers, the ACS, all of these government agencies that begin to intervene, they didn't have a clue. And they I was blamed for many things that I realize now. I'm like, what? I was the victim. Why were you blaming me? What?
Exactly, because they feel as you're the mother, you're the one that was supposed to call the police and earlier.
Yes, yeah. And it also, a lot of those social workers they didn't have the training to take into account, oh my goodness, these children have never gone out. They don't know what it is to interact with people. And they thought they were mentally challenged. All of them. That they could not see the difference between someone who uses their faculties and someone who doesn't know the social norms.
Exactly.
And there's a big difference, but they didn't know that difference. So, had I gone through that knowing what I know now, I would have really raised a lot of ruckus about what we had to go through, because they were not educated.
Hey Teacher says, I watched the 2020 ABC show where you reunited with your family in Michigan.
Oh,
I missed that one. I didn't even know about that.
That was something. Yeah, that turned into a big family affair. That was a really well done episode. 2020 filmed my family twice, and it aired on 2 different episodes. The first one was June 19th in 2015. You can look it up. You can look up ABC's 2020 and look up the episodes for that day. And that was the first episode, which included my whole family getting together. And that was very well done. I really.
Oh, I'm going to watch that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What are the warning signs when women meet, like a young girl would meet somebody like your abuser? What are the warning? Are there any warning signs, like before they get married?
Yeah, well, I can speak to that. I know Caroline can, and also Yuko. I would say the biggest thing is in the beginning, when someone is saying things like, "Oh, I just wanna, let's just stay in tonight and be together and watch TV."
Right.
And,
Right.
I can see maybe there's one night when that happens, you don't feel like going out. But when you're beginning to know each other, part of that experience is the external stimulus of all these things you enjoy doing together. That's part of forming your relationship. So if there is some part that is being cut off, like saying, "Oh, I don't want to go out with your friends. I just want to be with you."
Right.
That would
Right.
be okay for
Right.
one time. But when things like that happen a second and a third time, that is a huge red flag.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And these men are very charming at first. I mean, they're when they first meet you. I mean, they're bringing you candy and flowers. They're even bringing your mother flowers when they come to pick you up. Uh, that's one of the signs where they're overdoing it. And like Suzanne says, they do this to you gradually, and they kind of like just make you feel like, wow, I love you so much. I don't even want you out of my sight. And sometimes, as a young girl, who don't have much experience, especially the experience that we have, they take it different. Like, wow, look at this. I mean, he loves me so much. He doesn't even want me with my friends. And at first, that could be a little charming to a young girl. That's like, wow,
Yes.
I finally found the man who really cares about me, and he just wants it to be me and him 24/7. But then after a while, that it becomes all of your life. Now he wants, when you finally are together with him, married, and maybe there's a couple of children now in the picture, so it's not so easy for you to pick up and leave. Or however, then it's like, okay, well, where were you? You know what I'm saying? You're 10 minutes late. How come you're 10 minutes late?
Yeah,
What were you
see,
doing?
that's the
Let me
Yes.
see
scary
your
Yes.
phone.
thing.
So,
Yeah.
so that grooming becomes very gradual. These guys could be just like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. After everything starts. I mean, and then of course, a lot of times after they do assault you, the next day it's, "Oh gee, I'm sorry, I'm never going to do that again." But that's only till the next time something pisses him off, or somehow there's a lot of signs there. It's just, if you don't, if you're not, if you're not, like, if you don't know well enough what to look for, especially young girls. Young girls are capable of falling in love with a gorilla, as a matter of speaking. That's how, when you're 18 and 19, you're a young girl, love is, you fall in love, that magic. And that there are a lot of signs to look for. Controlling, and like she says, they're going to try to cut you away from your friends and your family and everything.
And also, this gets into it really parallels and intertwines the dating violence and sexual assault, because especially when there are so many young children who are sexually molested and abused themselves. I was sexually molested when I was 5 years old.
Oh,
And that formed trauma that I never dealt with and never told anyone about. And then I was sexually assaulted when I was 14, and again when I was 21. And so there are patterns that forms, and these women, or it could be guys also, have this trauma. And so when somebody is very attentive to them, very charming, very seemingly like giving to them, it's they feel like, wow, finally there's somebody who really cares about me, who is
Right.
really.
Yeah,
right,
I want to
right.
chime in a little bit. Sometimes they are charming, but you can spot them interacting with like a waitress at a restaurant in a very denigrating way. They are like accusing some very little stuff, and then they will make an excuse when they make mistake, and then they wouldn't own up to their mistake, and then they just blame others. Those little things, even when they are charming, that tells you that they really think they are better than anybody else, and then they are really, easy to get pissed off at the little thing. That will come to you directly, attacking you later. So that those are the red flags which I missed, myself. So, I'm not, saying it from above, yeah. But yeah, you when you ask their friends and families and stuff too, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, he was always very difficult child or difficult teenager. He was always picking up the fight." If you hear that, then even if he is really super nice to you right now because he's in love, just be careful, I would say.
And now you go also were in a similar situation.
Yeah, I got out. My in my case, I got out of living with this person. My husband was suddenly screeched to a halt, kind of thing. It came like,
Out
the
of the
real,
blue?
yeah, out of
Out of
kind
the
of,
blue, right.
yeah, 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 because my son spilled the beans to his teacher at the school, and then ACS got called automatically. They have a mandatory reporting duty as a school teachers and counselors to call the police and the ACS, and so police came, ACS came, the criminal court got involved. So it wasn't my choice. Like Suzanne was doing slowly, getting to the point
Getting
that
right.
he insists. I would like to have done that, but I was kind of cautious not to, get out of sudden because my son was actually begging me not to separate.
Oh.
Yeah, because if we separate, then he had to live with his daddy without mommy for 1 week. Then next week with mommy. That sounded like awful to him. So like we will just keep it, you know, quiet, and then we can do this. We can do this until he becomes 18. Then he doesn't have to worry about that, visitation right or whatever, right? In this American system. So I'm here today because I'm uniquely non-American. I came here long time ago enough so that I feel like I know the system here. But I also have a perspective from a different angle, different country, different sentiment, different culture. So this, like Japan, for example, now they are trying to be more American in system, but they usually give the custody to the mother, and the mother usually choose not to let the kid see the father. That was very norm. Recently, maybe they are changing a little bit, but still, it's okay to disappear into thin air in mother and child or children, and then father wouldn't see them ever again. That kind of thing. That's a choice, and then it's not criminal, it seems. But here, it's a lot different, and then I'm
Yes.
still struggling to understand the wisdom of it. Like, can't you be like a case by case? Like if the father is kind of abusive towards children or towards mother, then I don't think it's really safe to let the father have a children all by themselves. Anyway, that's a whole different subject. But yeah, so my this situation came all of a sudden, but I appreciate the like a situation right now, because now finally we can think for ourselves. We can do stuff on our own, and yeah, this is really has been great.
Okay.
So now you are away from
Mhm,
him, right?
mhm. Yeah, we are
Okay.
separately living. So, and then my son is already 19, so she doesn't have to worry about the visitation. When ACS was called, he was 17, so he was just, like a yeah, half
Okay.
year later, then SAS wouldn't be involved. So it was pretty interesting. And I was very lucky that we got a good enough SAS worker who was sympathetic to me and my son, not the other way around. Like Suzanne said, oh my God, like this would be terrible if, she
Right,
sided with
right.
my husband and then not us, right? So it's always kind of a scary thing. I hear horror stories and stuff. So I feel bad for those people who have to fight against the ACS. But yeah, we were lucky, and we managed to, yeah, get a
To
better
get
life.
away, right.
Right.
And so would you Maureen wants to know, what do you do about the reoccurring nightmares? That is with the psychotherapy? I
Yes,
mean, hypno, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'd like to speak to that
Yeah.
because I can say when decades ago I had a near rape and violent assault on me that I got away, but I kept having reoccurring nightmares almost every night that I was not able to get away. And all I did was stand there. I just froze. I couldn't yell. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I was like totally incapacitated. So I went to a hypnotherapist because it was interrupting my life. And it only took about 3 sessions and it's the nightmare stopped and I never had
Really?
them after that. And not only that, but it helped me to heal. I had had a knee injury where I had torn the ligament and it totally healed my knee also.
Oh, wow.
So it was at that point I became a believer and I'm like, I want to know more about this stuff. What I can say in speaking to that is that even if you're unsure about doing hypnotherapy, what I can say about nightmares is that the more you are with yourself and the more you know yourself and the more you speak up, even in just little tiny instances and situations, those nightmares will go away because the nightmares are about you not being empowered and you not being in control of your life and feeling like you're not in control, like something or somebody else is. And once you begin to take control and feel good about it and know yourself, even if you don't do hypnotherapy, those nightmares will go away.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I want to add, it's not hypnotherapy, but Suzanne gave like a meditation, guided meditation, or the breathing practice, I believe, to my
Yes.
son when this happened, the triggering event happened, and ACS got called, like so many things are happening. And then when I saw my son after, couple of days, he was really like doing a tick like
A twitch?
movement. Yeah, twitch. Like
Yeah.
he was like weird. And
Twitching.
then,
Yeah.
and then he also said that he has a flashback all the time. He can't concentrate on his study. He was in a nightmare every day about the scene he just got out of the physical altercation with his daddy. And
Right.
then I'm like, okay, Suzanne, do me a big favor, do something to him. Do just one session and see how can you do. And then she did it right away, like the next day or something. And then after that one session, his tick-like thing just went away. He was much
Oh.
better. Yeah. And he had a still like nightmare issue, but it tapered off, slowly. So yeah, something worked. Now, full disclosure, I'm not particularly good at receiving the, the medication, and
Right.
I don't get the benefit. I don't think I will be good with a hypnotherapy either. Not I haven't done received a serious one, so I can't speak for that, I guess. I'm not particularly great, so I'm not pushing anybody to try. But I'm just stating my son's case. It worked beautifully, just
Yes.
one session.
Wow.
Thank you,
In one
And
Suzanne.
session.
Yeah, and
yeah,
I just
and
and I'd like to just add on that Suzanne runs a support group for women, and some of the women that we have in the group, have been sex trafficked. So Suzanne has been working very closely with them, and we've been seeing a lot of results from it. Because Suzanne is also a trauma coach, and just being able to allow them to tell their stories, and in a space where they can be trusted, we could there's trust there. So Suzanne does a wonderful job with that. Just wanted to add that in.
yeah, and thank you, Caroline and Yuko, for saying that. And what I would like to say is, it doesn't matter what type of process you choose or you feel comfortable with. That doesn't matter. Even if it might be for some of you, if you have a backyard, you go out in your backyard, take a chair out there and sit under a tree for 15 minutes every day. That it could be something as simple as that. Um, that or getting a journal, and just as soon as you wake up, maybe writing 5 words that you about how what you're thinking or how you feel. Anything like that supports you in your process to be more with yourself and to honor yourself. This is about honoring ourselves, men and women, who we are, because our culture takes so much of that away from us. It's like, oh, you don't know what you want. You need this to make yourself happy. You need to have this big new TV. You need to buy this new wardrobe. Oh, now you've got to have a new swimming pool. And it's like, if you don't have those things, you won't be happy. So we're bombarded with that all the time. And from the time we're little, we're taught that we don't really know what it is we need and we want. And that is not self-autonomy. I'm telling you, it's been my experience, not just with my own children, but so many children, that they know what they need and what they want. Within parameters, of course. They think they want ice cream every meal. Of course, you're not going to do that. But children, when they say something, I don't want to go hug him. Don't make
Oh,
me hug him.
exactly.
That gets into the sexual assault that starts as children. We disempower our children, and then we question, I don't understand what happened to my daughter, why she got into this violent dating relationship. And it's because we do that. And I'm not blaming anyone. It's part of our culture. But we treat children as they don't know what to do or how to do things, and we don't listen to them. And I really feel like this, sexual assault is a huge issue in our country, as is sex trafficking, as is domestic violence. And the only way we're going to get a handle on that is by first we have to begin to heal ourselves from whatever trauma we've gone through And then we have to listen to other people, listen to our brother or our sister, listen to our best friend, listen to our, the boy who sits next to us in music class, or, anything like that. Just listen to people, what they're saying.
Yeah, the nuanced
J,
conversation is very important. Yeah, go ahead.
JJ Fedora wants to know. She said she's heard both parties are arrested in a domestic call. Is that true?
Often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you both use violence on each other, then you're both going to be arrested. That's
Okay.
I think we had gone over that in the last segment.
Yes.
Uh, you
Yes.
know, again, years ago when the police came to the house, which most times it was the woman who had a black guy, and the women, the wife was, or girl, whatever, was afraid to press charges because retaliation. And a lot of times he'd be back out in a couple of days, back home again, and the next time there's an argument, he's going to say, "You called the police on me," and you're going to be beaten even more than you risk the chance of getting a beating. So now what they do today is you don't have to press charges anymore. When the police show up, if they find a woman with a black eye, a busted lip like Suzanne had, you're going to be arrested. And of course,
Right.
if he has bruises on him, she's going to be arrested too. It's just a question of using your hands on another person, unless it could be sorted out to say it was self defense. But you have to really prove that he's bruised because you were defending yourself, which in a lot of cases it's not that way. It's usually the woman or the child is the one with the black eye or the busted lip and been beaten. Usually it's the woman and children that is there. Okay, so anyway, this segment was basically based around sexual assault. So I'd like to focus on that a little bit, and then we'll come back to Suzanne and Yuko again. So let's understand, what is sexual violence. Sexual violence is any action that results in a person losing their sexual autonomy. Sexual violence also includes the five principles: sexual assault, sexual harassment, sex trafficking, non consensual distribution of intimate images. Meaning that if you're with your partner and at the time when you were in love, he took a picture of you. If he takes that same picture of you naked in any illicit pose and he puts it on the computer, that's not, no, he's not, he's it's sort of like it's not, he's distributing these images of you and not in such a good way. And then any other non consensual, forced, or if substance abuse was facilitated in a sexual action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Suzanne, Yuko, and myself, we're going to discuss some of these principles tonight. But before that, I would just like to give you some of the statistics about sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, 1 in every 5 women and 1 in every 12 men will be sexually assaulted. Now, when you think of the men, I know the first question you ask is, well, how does a man get sexually assaulted? But this is usually teenage boys or even, a young fellow, usually by a pedophile or something. But usually that's how, men are sexually assaulted. Okay, so in the United States, every 93 seconds, a person is raped. Then it usually gets a little higher for women who are between the ages of 16 and 19. And the highest rate of women who are at risk is women between the ages of 12 and 34. But that bracket of 16 and 19, that's just maybe 4% higher. In the year 2021, in the United States, 282,000 women and 42,000 men were sexually assaulted. Texas being the highest state and Michigan being the lowest state for sexual assaults. Almost half of all rapes occur in the home. 29% happen while traveling to or from work or school or traveling to shop or run errands. 12% of women are raped at work. 7% are raped at school. So now, indeed, more women are raped in cities that are in rural areas. But women who are in rural areas are less likely to report it. The reason being that in rural areas, they have less funding, and also in those counties, they are geared to have more men as office holders, whereas women politicians tend to advocate more for women's issues and rights. 8 out of 10 rapes are by partners or acquaintances, someone who knew the victim. So basically, it's when we think of rape, most rapes are not like you think the boogeyman jumped out and he grabbed you off the street and he raped you. Most of the rapes are by someone, either you went on a date with or you a certain person that you talk to every morning on the train station, on at the newspaper stand. It's usually someone who knows the victim. 1 in every 5 college women on campuses are sexually assaulted. 66% of women raped who are afraid of not being believed for the assault. A large percentage of rape victims never recover from the sexual assault, with a high number committing suicide after the assault. 83% of women are raped by the partner or the acquaintance, as compared to only 21% are raped by a stranger. So, okay, men who rape. Some men who rape their partners. This is talking about intimate partner rape, a wife or a girlfriend. Some men who rape their partners or their wife, it's sometimes to mark his territory. He may feel that she's pulling away from him, like in an abusive relationship. He knows he mistreats her, and she wants out of that relationship. So, sort of to mark his territory and feel more secure that he has a hold on her, he will rape her. In his mind, it's like saying, okay, well, I still have control, over you. Okay. So for many of these men, their attitude is sex to be taken, not negotiated. A very common question we get asked all the time is it legal to rape your wife? Marital rape was legal before the 1970s. In every state, it was not prosecuted. It took all the way until 1993 for all the states to make it illegal. But there is a little catch here. In 12 of the states, it's only illegal if you cause injury to your wife. So as long as you don't brutalize her and make her bleed, you won't be prosecuted for raping her. Minnesota and Ohio are on the verge of reversing those rules. And in some of the states, you only have 30 days to report the rape. Unlike the statute of limitation, that sometimes could be a couple of years, or the one that Biden just recently gave to, people who were children who were raped, sexually assaulted. They were given that time frame in a year now because the statute of limit had gone out.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
in some cases, the rate will be pushed down to a misdemeanor. It's just a question of a lot of technicalities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're just going to talk about one other thing. It's the rape kit. I hope that no one here, any woman here, ever has to go to a hospital because she's been raped. But in case of someone, a friend of yours or something, just want to give you a little idea what happens. When you go to the hospital for a rape kit, you're going to be there all day. That's the first thing. You're going to spend the entire day with this rape kit. And of course, you're going to be asked a lot of questions. I don't want to say repeat them, but you'll be asked a lot of questions that would make you feel uncomfortable. But go anyway. Even okay, even if you don't want to report the rape to the police, go to the hospital anyway and get this taken. Get his DNA. Let them get a sample from you if they can. Anyway, so that there's on record your DNA is there. So in case in the future you want to go to the prosecute him or whatever, your kid is already there. His DNA. And you could, when you get to do the rape kit, if you're uncomfortable, you can stop at any time and just say, I don't want to continue with this. You have the right to do that. And again, one last very important thing, don't wash anything. Do not wash your hands. Don't wash your face. Don't wash anything on your clothing, because whatever DNA is there, if you do any washing, it's going to get rid of the DNA, which is so important, for the one of the things for the rape kit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your bruises, pictures of your bruises, your genitals is going to be taken. So just like I said, I just wanted to give you some idea, or if you know someone who's going to go, a friend or something, you could just give her a heads up, a little idea of what's going to take place with the rape kit. Not that it's just going to come what happens there as a big shock to you. Okay, so Suzanne, we'll turn it over to you then.
Yeah, I just want to oops, hold on. Suzanne, can you answer Butterfly Girls, the comments on the screen?
Um, oh,
I can read it to you. She said, "Thank you for coming, ladies. I am trying to get away from the man that I've been with for 30 years. He's very abusive, and I've had a lot of sexual abuse when I was younger. So I feel like crying right now.
yes.
So sad.
Like
So sad to hear
this
that.
is so
Yeah,
sad to
that
me."
is. And what I can say first of all is, regardless of how the abuse started and what has happened, there is no person on this earth that deserves that. And it doesn't matter if you think, well, but I don't do things right, or it doesn't matter. No person deserves to have violence against their person. The same thing, like in rape and sexual assault, no woman or man deserves to be sexually assaulted because of how they are dressed, how they speak, where they are, what they have put in their body, drinking or drugs. It doesn't matter. That is not an excuse. We have been excusing behavior for too long that is not acceptable. Okay, that being said, Butterfly, I encourage you to go little by little at your own pace. And whatever that means for you, if that means maybe every day you decide to have cookies and tea in the afternoon. Some little thing that you are doing for yourself that can be totally hidden from your abuser. He might not even know you're doing that. I support you and encourage you to begin to do just one little thing for yourself. Maybe it's you take time meditating, or when you awake in the morning, you pretend you're sleeping when you're not, so that you can relax and say nice things to yourself. Something as simple as that is beginning. It's a beginning, and it's not how big you begin or even what you do. It's taking that first little teeny tiny step for you. to do something. And I can say, you know, we're going to give a lot of resources
Yes.
for sexual assault, which also includes domestic violence. And regardless of where you are in this country, there are people who will listen to you and understand you and support you and not try to get you to do anything, because you are the one who has to make those choices. That's up to you. And you know when you're ready to do each next step and maybe a next level, and maybe not, you know. So I totally support you in at least beginning, making some small step that you feel good about, that you don't even have to tell anybody about, that you're doing for yourself.
I totally second that. I did that. I've been together with this guy 28 years. You know, my husband. Now I'm out, but so it was a long time, and a lot of people, well-meaning, but will say like, you know, it's time to get out. You know, leave, or something like that. And but so please don't let anybody feel bad. Um, when they said like it's taking too long, you know, you've been together 30 years, oh my god, you know, what took you to do so long? Don't let them say that, because
Exactly.
each yeah person perfect timing to get out. It could be, you know, if you get out too soon, then you know you have another problem, like a lot of small kids with diapers, you know. So it's like a pros and cons, always, you know, like a 50-50. So it's not like a this is better, this is worse, you know, it's like equally, you know, your situation. So you took the chance when you see it fit, and then you just maximize, you know, benefit with a, you know, like a hopeful attitude, and that will get you somewhere, you know, next step. And then you think about the, you know, next step after you get there. So, you know, don't rush, and then, you know, just be separated mentally as much as possible when you are still living together, so that you don't feel like you are counting on him to do this first. You are counting on the, you are, you know, you are always asking his advice, his, you know, mentorship, you know. Then it's going to be so hard. So you have to be really kind of like separating. If you have to lie, you know, you go to shopping,
Yeah.
you know, lie, you know, you are doing something else, but you said you are doing grocery shopping or whatever. So that then you get, you know, more strong. You are on
Good
your own.
night, Becky.
Yeah. Okay, I'd just like to add one other thing. There is a code, which we tell a lot of women that we come across who are being abused, but they're not ready to leave. And this is a hand signal that which some people will understand. So you know you might as well just try it. If you know, if you, let's say you're in danger of your husband. Okay, so here is the signal. It's your hand, the thumb comes down, the fingers come down, and that'll alert other people that you're in trouble. That's a code that they use. Not everybody knows it, and you may not get lucky and catch somebody on the next table in the restaurant who will see this, but try it anyway, because chances are there will be someone who will call the police for you when they see this code. So I'll do it again. It's turn your thumb in, fingers come down, and that's the code that you're in trouble, which a lot of women use. And one other thing we tell women who are still in these relationships, because we don't tell them to leave. We like Yuko said, we tell them, do it at your own pace, do it at your own safety when you're ready. I mean, so one of the things we tell them too is, okay, let's say an altercation breaks out when you're home and he begins to hit you. Stay out of the kitchen, because the kitchen is the most dangerous place for you to get hurt, where there's knives and pots and different objects, the points of the kitchen table, and things. So if he's starting to beat you, retreat yourself to the living room where there would be less, knives and things like that. Where who knows what mindset he's in if he's been drinking to pick up a knife or a scissor and begin to harm you with it.
Or you could do what I would do.
Well, yeah, we know you. I
You could
Angel,
know.
wait
do
for
I
them
need
to
to
go to
knock you out?
sleep.
Yeah, I know. I
You go,
know.
they
It
have to
should
go
be.
to sleep at some point.
It should be that
Yeah,
easy.
yes,
It should
yes,
be that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take
Right.
that any way you want to take it, but they have to go
Right.
to sleep.
Right. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All
You
righty.
know, one thing, another thing I'd like to bring out is I, I mean, it seems like Caroline and Yuko and I were talking about things, and it seems like, oh, well, we just, it's very normal and natural for us. It was not always like this.
Yes.
There were, not that long ago where it was, our lips were zipped. We couldn't talk about it. And even if somebody would ask us about it, there was so much shame and fear around, oh my God, can they see that? Oh dear, I'd better hide more. I have to shrink myself more. And what how we are now engaging and advocating and empathetic and understanding is a result of what we have done with ourselves. So what I'm saying is that to any of you who might be listening, we are the example of what anyone can do, what someone can do, going from being totally shrunk and beaten and hidden away to speaking out and having a voice and speaking in front of hundreds and hundreds of people,
Right.
because we've done
Yes.
that. All of us have done that. And we're public speakers and advocates, and we have audiences. And it's partly because we know what we went through, and we want to support other people to make it easier for them in their process.
Right.
We know how challenging it is.
A woman who's abused is a very strong woman because while you're in that abusive relationship, you have to navigate so many things. So it's not just an ignorant person. You have to make sure that the kids are put to bed so they don't get on your husband's nerves. You have to be able to read him as much as you can to know when violence is going to break out. Uh, you have to make sure whatever triggers him, like in my case, it was the roast beef. If I didn't cook the roast beef exactly the way he wanted, that would cause a tremendous, uproar in the house. So when you're an abused woman, you're very good at reading people, and because you've been reading him for a long time, and again, you've been navigating. You're not just living a normal housewife's life. You're living with a man that you have to navigate everything you say, everything you do. Make sure you're home, but if you're that 10 minutes, he's gonna start a fight with you because you're 5 minutes late walking into the door. If the dinner was 10 minutes late than what he wanted it to be, you're gonna have to face some consequences for that. So if don't think of yourself as, okay, well, I can't get through this, and you're more stronger than you think you are. If you can navigate all that abuse and try to just keep the kids happy, keep the kids fed, keep your world going with all of this going on, you're not a stupid person. You have more smarts than you think you have.
Um, JJ Fedora, this was really uh, I really love this comment. She said, "You've all come out on the other side. I think it's good advice that women do their own timeline. It's not one size fits all.
Exactly, exactly.
Yes.
That's why we don't like tell a woman, oh, you have to leave. What's wrong with you? Because every woman goes at her own pace. She may, like I said in the other segment, they may not be ready to leave. They may don't have a place to go, or and a lot of women, they still love this man, and they think that, okay, let me give him another try. Maybe I could do this. Maybe if I cook better, if I clean the house better, if I do
Right.
this better, things are going to change. But of course, that doesn't change because this man has problems with himself. It's not you. He has he's a broken person with probably a lot of issues from his childhood. And so it's not you. Don't, think, well, okay, you know, I could change all of this here, because in 99% cases, you're not going to change it. This is going to keep continuing to go on.
Right.
Yeah.
So now agnostic says, ladies, if she is ready to escape, can you tell her where to go?
Yes, we're going to give resources in a little while. We're just going through how we programmed this here. Um, we are going to give some resources here tonight, and some of the resources are what I had given in the last segment. So,
Yes.
Last
yeah,
time too, last show,
Suzanne,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But we
Suzanne,
can mention already, like a family justice center is a place
right,
to start, and the
right,
national domestic violence hotline. You can Google, because I can't memorize those names out of my head. Anyway, so those are a great place to start, and then you ask a lot of questions, and you make them work, because they are the workers who are being paid to do that job, and if they hint that they are annoyed or they are in a hurry or something, don't take it, like a personal, it's not like, oh, you are bothering them. No, they're, not professional. You just have to, keep digging their answers. Like I keep asking a lot of questions. How about this side? How about this? Like, I want to this location. I want to, shelter in this location, or whatever you want to say. You should
yeah.
just
Yeah,
dig.
Suzanne and Yuko, I'd like you to tell the audience some of the things that we've been doing at the mayor's office.
Mhm.
We belong to the Voices Committee, which we go out, we do public speaking for them. We launched something to all the beauty parlors to sort of talk to the beauticians, and I explained this the last time, where we got all the beauticians because we wanted to reach as many women as we can. And so where do most women go? To beauty parlors. So we launched this
Mm-hmm.
from the mayor's office. We gave all these beauty parlor owners a little bit of training. If you're cutting hair and you see a bruise on the woman, we supply them with these pamphlets. And if when she comes up to pay the bill, hand her one of the little card or pamphlet or whatever. And
Yeah.
because beauticians are very good, they, they're very gifted, to talk to women, because that's their
Right.
way. That's what they need in their line of work, to get it, to have a nice
Right.
relationship with,
Right.
so the woman comes back again for another haircut. And they're just fantastic people all around. They have a way of talking to women and maybe letting this woman open up a little bit what's
Mm-hmm.
happening to her. So, okay, Suzanne and Yuko, I'd like you to tell them a little bit about what we're doing with the teledoctors, and a little bit about the program with the abusers. What we're doing is we want to try to reach to the abusers now too. We want to give them some love. We want to try to help them. We're trying to bring up programs, how to facilitate these programs to sort of bring abusers in, and let's try to help them too. I mean, whatever the outcome, I don't know what the success rate of that's going to be, but we're willing to try at this point. So,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, go ahead, Suzanne.
Yeah, I want to add in something quickly, Caroline, that,
Yes, yes,
giving out those brochures, like in beauty parlors or wherever you might see them, is so very, very important, because it lists resources for all different kinds of services that someone might need. And I have talked with women they look at that brochure and they're like, oh, there's no way I could take that home. He would find it and then I'd be beaten to death. And I said, which borough do you live in? And she said, well, I live in Brooklyn. I said, memorize the Brooklyn number and throw the brochure away. All you have to do is memorize one phone number, and anybody can do that. We can all do that. And so you have it in your brain, where you could call for help.
Yeah, you don't even have to memorize it. You can just type in the number to your cell phone and then put the fake name like a Brooklyn Park or something, cafe.
Oh, right.
Whatever.
Yes,
That's what I do.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that's very important. One thing about, I know we're getting into domestic violence also because it's such an integrative thing. I mean, you cannot separate sexual assault and sex trafficking from domestic violence. They are all really intertwined in so many aspects. One thing that we're doing in New York City is I'm on a committee that was appointed by the mayor that was a result of a mandatory survey that Governor Cuomo ordered done when he ordered this survey during the pandemic. And as a result, now the mayor has appointed this committee, of which I'm a member, to not only monitor the police department, but to be a part in rewriting their regulations about what kinds of training they have to have in regards to domestic violence, how they know when someone is being abused, the kind of procedures they have to follow, just to give them more information and let them know these are the dynamics that are involved. And then this committee is also we're going to rewrite and write regulations that the police department has to follow for what they do, how they answer domestic violence calls. And it's about how often they get retrained and they get a support for new techniques or new methods or new information that's come out. So I feel like this is a big step in the right direction for men or women who are being abused.
I actually have a question in regards to the sex trafficking because we've been seeing a lot of that on billboards up here. Is there, as far as you all know, is there a certain age group that they target? Is there a certain race that's higher risk? What do young women look at in regards to like when they're out in public? Are there things that they should be aware of, or are there certain type of vans? I've heard that a lot, that there's certain kind of vans and people just grab you really quickly. Sometimes it's hard for people to understand how you can be in public one moment and just snatched in front of everybody and gone the next. Is there details about that women?
Yes, that's true, Marla. That's true. A lot of people, even young girls as young as 12, 11 years old, have been snatched right off the street. It's not as common. But your biggest problem is this, especially if you have teenagers in school, a young teenage girl going to high school. A lot of these predators, they even bring young girls that work for them, okay, that are basically the same age as your daughter, your teenage daughter, and they hang around the school and they target girls who come. They can sense someone's demeanor, and like they target girls who come from low income families. And like okay, like for example, the trend in high school, if everybody doesn't have that certain brand name sneaker or brand name backpack or jacket, well, you're not with the in crowd with us. What kind of sneakers do you have on? The ones that at Walmart or something. Okay, so they'll approach these kids and say, you know what? Do you want to have those nice sneakers like Betty and Mary are wearing? Well, you know what? I can show you how to make a few extra dollars so that you can have that that name brand coat and those name brand sneakers and a little extra more if you want to just go to the mall. And this is how they groom these people, uh, these young girls to become sex traffic workers. We had a woman who I had we went into like a Zoom, an education Zoom, and one of the women that was in there, she was actually one of these girls who went out to for this. She was working for the sex traffickers, and she's no longer in that, of course. And she explained a lot of this to us, that how she would go around the high schools, maybe get a little friendly with some of the girls, or she even went to the school. She might have even, been one of the students there, and they know what to look for. Again, someone with low self-esteem, not much money, and they know, and they're not hearing it from some guy walking up to them. They're hearing it from a girl who was like sort of pretending to be their friend. Oh, you don't want to wear those sneakers. Wait a minute, I could figure out a way you could make a couple of extra dollars, and that's one of their biggest grooming tactics to do. You'd be surprised they're even using young teenage girls to solicit victims. Go ahead,
Yes.
Suzanne.
And
Suzanne has
also, I would like to add in, I've done some sex trafficking workshops and accreditation, and it is astonishing and alarming at how much it is happening. Human trafficking is the second biggest business on the planet. And for all of, this, yeah, this is just a bit of information. The Super Bowl is is the biggest trafficked event on the planet. Is the Super Bowl?
Are you
So,
kidding?
no. So that's something to think about as everybody watches that and roots for their teams. What is happening to so many probably young boys and girls? And now it's becoming a huge problem that there are. Before, it used to be that the girls were more sex trafficked, but now it's increasing a lot more that young boys are being sex trafficked.
Oh my God.
And what happens is, even there are many instances where it might be maybe a senior high school, and it might be a guy or it might be a woman. She is already in with the traffickers, or he's already in with them, and they slowly approach a boy or a girl who is like 2 years younger than them, and they befriend them and they just start hanging out. All the while they're grooming them. They are gaining the trust of this victim and hanging out with them. And then one day they're going to go to meet another friend, and that's when they're never heard from again.
yeah.
It's the people the perpetrators who organize the trafficking is, they are very precise and very focused, and they know exactly what they're doing. So and another aspect I'd like to throw in is that, again, with our children, when we raise our children to do what they're told and to don't question us, what we are doing is establishing a hierarchy of authority without giving them voice. So when there's some stranger or someone who pretends to befriend them, that then begins to tell them things. Of course, we've been grooming, we've been helping the traffickers the whole life for our children if we are authoritative with them, because we don't give them a voice. So they are not going to have a voice when it comes to groomers for trafficking. They are not going to question that. They will just adhere to that. And so it's something to begin to flip that for children, is to listen to them when they speak about something they're afraid of or something they notice. Instead of just dismissing it, we listen to them, so that throughout our children's lives, they know that it doesn't matter if we agree with like everything they say or they want. They know we are going to listen to them. So then that will help to proactively prevent them being groomed and sex trafficked in the first place, because they are not going to be vulnerable to outside forces. They are going to have that relationship that we as parents and aunts and uncles or whoever as mentors have built with them. And that is, I think, one of the biggest ways that we're really going to help to uh, put a stop to this, because it's horrific what's going on the planet. Absolutely horrific. It's unbelievable.
Well said, well said. The children's risky situation, because they have to learn how to protect their body, their soul, their mind. But if the community around them is just using them as just a property, like just obey, be quiet and obey, then it's very difficult to learn to do that on their own. And then culturally, United States has its own problem, but also a lot of different countries in the world have a different peculiar customs or some mindset toward the children, often girls, to do certain things sexually related, like a female genital mutilation in Africa mainly, but the parts of Asian and stuff too. It's it's very unique, weird way, but the very like 90%, 98% of certain country like Somalia or Mali, has a IFGM. So it's not like, some people do that, and it's almost 100%, right? And then dowry killing, honor killing, those things. Child marriage system, back in China, but also India. The different country has a different manifestation, but it's kind of all coming down to using children as a property, like just pawn, like adult will decide their fate. And it's just a custom, it's from 1,000 years ago, which is often not true. And then they think it's like unchangeable, they don't try to change. But guess what, like a Chinese bound feet got eliminated, right? They've been saying it's not just a 100 years, it was centuries of that horrible practice. And everybody back then said that it can be changed. Everybody wants to do it. If you don't do that, you don't get married, and you die from starvation. And but now I don't see anybody in China who's doing bound feet at the age 15 or something. So I think there is a way to eradicate, but it's tricky, I would say. Yeah, so that's connected, in my opinion. Like, sex trafficking is rampant right now because it makes so much money. So we need a different arsenal to tackle this problem.
Right. Okay, Yuko, can you tell them a little bit about the teledoctors that we were been worked on?
What? Can you
You
repeat?
know, the teledoctors, when you virtually see your doctor, like for the doctor to to ask more questions about injuries, in other words, to make
Right,
the
right,
doctor
okay.
a little
My
more
my
aware
own
of what's
throat.
going on.
Okay, I got fracture wrist. Okay, this has nothing to do with abuse. I have to keep that first.
He's
Okay, this
clumsy.
is
He's
accident. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
clumsy.
But since I got fractured by accident, I was expecting, half hoping, half dreading that the doctor will ask me how did it happen, right? And it's my son who caused this accident. Okay, he assembled the pipe bed, and then he said it's done. So I went up and then tried to put the beddings down, and then the whole bottom grid just fell down with me on top of it. So I fell down with it. So that's how I fractured. So the doctor said that how did it happen? So I started to tell the story, but she said, no, 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 I don't want to know anything. Just how high you fell. I because I said I fell. No, no, no. Don't tell me. She said, don't tell me just how high you fell. So I said 5 feet, and then she said, that's all I need to know. Don't say anything. It's almost like she's protecting for my privacy. But I'm like, wait, don't you wanna know my story? What if I said, abuser hit me, with a stick or something, or he tossed me from a 5 feet high, and doesn't it change things? But she was like, no, just answer me yes or no, this happened, 3 days ago, yes or no, that kind of thing. It was almost like a interrogation by the attorney against me, kind of thing, like I'm a defender, like I'm yelled at. So I don't know, like she was so efficient. I think she wanted to be very professional, and she was proud that she knows how to do her job. And then I'm just a one-time, patient who doesn't know any protocol. And then I'm just blabbing about how this happened, and then it hurts this way, that way, this way. She said, no, 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 you don't have to tell me. That was her attitude. So yeah, it's a long
Right.
way to go still. I think.
Yeah, we want the doctors to be more aware, to ask more
Mhm.
questions. How did you sustain that injury? Not just
Right.
like Yuko said, I don't want to hear anything. How many feet did you fall? We want doctors to just, take a little more time, just be a little more aware. Anyway, a child or a woman comes in with an injury, just to, make sure that's not, something that domestic violence has occurred.
Mhm. Mhm. And then I want to encourage men to come forward when they get injured by women. Like
Uh-huh.
don't fear that they don't get believed. You have to voice it, and so it will make it more normal, more like a common thing to hear, for the doctors, unless we start doing that, doctor will say, "Oh, I never heard of it," So that's not a good, common sense for them to have. So let's speak up and then just keep persuading them. They have to, yeah.
Right.
If
Yes.
if you need an advocate, we will advocate for you. So, if somebody didn't believe your story, tell us, then we'll advocate for you.
Yes.
Now, where, if somebody is going through this, where do they go?
They can go to a family justice center. Like I said, hotline is very good place to start getting connected.
This
It,
right
it,
here, let me
mhm,
just say, I have this from the last time.
Right,
It's the
Angel. Yeah,
Family Justice
mhm.
Center.
every borough has one. Every borough
Right.
in the city has one. And I believe now, because the last time when I spoke with you, I wasn't sure about Long Island. Long Island has one too. In fact, they're starting to expand all over in
New
all the
Jersey
different
too.
states. Yeah, New Jersey. Yeah. So
Okay, so
that's
they
like
will.
almost your one stop shopping. When you go to the Family Justice Center, they have all it's full with all organizations that work together. There's even a little police department in there where there's a police officer, and they'll tell you a little bit about filing an order of protection. Again, there's not one. It's not one size fits all. When a woman comes through there, they're going to evaluate, what do you need? Do you need help getting a job so that you can leave and you can support yourself and your children? Are you in an emergency situation where you need to get to a shelter, get information for that? They're going to evaluate you when you walk through that door, and they have a numerous amount of resources that they could, help you with.
But at the same time, I'll caution you to see this as a rosy color only. You know what I mean? Like if you fantasize, okay, by going there, your, problem will be quickly solved. That's not true. So
Right,
you might bump into the caseworker who is seemingly mean to you. You might get really
Sometimes,
bad
yeah.
timing. Like they will say, okay, it's gonna be 4 weeks of waiting period or something like that. Who knows? But you can't just take one step back as like, oh, horrendous, because the negative stories, and you hate the family justice center, therefore I'm never gonna ask anybody's help ever again. That's not the right, because you get inconvenience, not them. They don't care, right? So I caution you, and I want you to be prepared to have a bad result here and there, but just be persistent. Keep calling different organization. You don't have to be family justice center only. You can Google a lot of organization, and each time you bump into the caseworker, if this one doesn't work, try next one, that kind of thing. So eventually you find the one great friendly worker, and that's all you need. Typically it's like that. You need only one person who is really on your side, and then you feel million bucks. So
Yes.
good luck with that.
And not all women who walk in there just came away from being beaten up. Some of them just go in out of curiosity to see what their options are, what kind of help they could be given. It doesn't necessarily mean that they were punched in the face this morning and now they're here because they need help. Sometimes they just go, just to get an idea of what's available to them.
Yes, yes. I have a question for, like, we have a lot of between us, Caroline and Yuko and I have a number of different phone numbers to give out for national numbers, 24-hour numbers. There are New York State numbers. There's New York City numbers. What is the best way to do that?
Here, give it to me right now. I'll put it up.
Oh,
Okay, so
you can probably type into the comment window. That's
You could do that. I could put it up on the
Okay,
screen.
Okay.
can you do that, Yuko? Or Suzanne, type it in, or wait a minute. Okay, so then, in other words, I'll give it to Angel, and then Angel, you would type it in. Is that what we're
I'll
doing?
put it up on the screen.
Okay.
Like last time.
Okay. Then I'll do that. Yeah. So first, I'm giving you some of my information. If anybody, even if you just have questions, to reach out to me, I am very happy to set up a consultation, or just, emailing if you have questions and you'd like to know about resources. You can go, I've got my email there, and also my website. I have a website up. You can go to my website and get information about work that I do. And even if it's not me that you want to see, there are things that I do that you might say, oh, I know somebody in this area where I live who does that. And then you contact somebody who's close to you that you can see in person. It's to give support and to give resources.
What is your website?
It's www.suzannereisenbichler.com.
Reisenb.
ICHLER.
It's
Dot
from a
.com.
screen name, so you can copy.
Yeah,
Right.
it's on my screen. Yeah.
Okay. So let me put this up. There it is.
Oh, Suzanne is with an S.
Really.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, let me
SUS.
fix that. Okay, so there it is. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Do you also are there a lot of people? I'm just kind of asking this. Are there a lot of people on this podcast from around the country? Or is it
Yes.
mostly in the, oh, okay. So giving a national number would help,
Yes.
correct?
Let me
Okay.
get that. What's the
Okay.
national number?
Okay, the National Human Trafficking Hotline.
Okay, National Human. Oh, crap. Hotline?
Yes.
Okay. Wait a
Is
minute. Hold on one second.
okay.
Okay, what's that number?
It's 1-888-373-7888.
7888.
Yes.
1-888-373-7888.
Yes.
Okay. So we have this too. So you have the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and then you could reach Suzanne at Suzanne Reisen. I can't say your last name.
Reisenbichler.
It took me a year just to
Yeah, Reisenbichler.com.
Reisenbichler, yeah.
And the National Human Trafficking Hotline. And we also have this number here for the WARM organization. That's for men, right, Suzanne? Caroline?
No, that's for women. Well,
Oh,
men
that's for
too,
women.
that's
Okay,
for
that's
women, yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're based out of Harlem, and they're
right.
also a very good organization. They'll come and get you. I mean, if you're in trouble, that's how warm, and they cater to mostly a lot of African American women because basically they're located in Harlem, but they'll
Okay.
help anyone, and they're also
Okay.
full of plenty of resources available for you.
Okay. And also we have the Family Justice Center. Okay.
Right, which is in every borough.
And there's also a New York City 24-hour rape, incest, and sexual assault hotline.
Okay. What's that number?
It's 212
212
227
227.
3000.
Okay. Rape,
Incest, and sexual assault.
okay, rape. So is it rape, incest, and sexual assault?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's for anybody. And that's 24 hours.
Okay. Okay. And when you're done with that, I have another resource for you here.
Okay. Go ahead. What's the other one?
Okay. This is the RAIN organization. It's spelled RAINN. RAIN. They're the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization. They've helped approximately close to 4 million women already.
Oh, okay. What's their
Right.
number?
Okay. And I'm going to give it to you that now. That would be 1-800
1-800. I'm sorry. 1-800
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. Yeah, that's 1-800
Yeah.
656
Okay.
4673. Okay. And I just
Okay.
wanted to talk to you about another organization which we work with, a very wonderful friend of ours, Miss Wanda Best. She had a vision with this organization, and it's called Art Transforms Incorporation.
Heart
Art,
transforms?
okay, art, the word art, A-R-T,
Oh,
then
art. A
art,
R
yeah,
T
A-R-T, Art
transforms?
Transforms Incorporated.
Okay.
You could contact them at 718
Okay, let me
3.
just get this
Okay,
one.
go ahead.
718
337
337
8180.
8180.
Right. Now, this is not a domestic violence or where they help you with, crime or whatever. This is an organization that uses art to help, somebody sort of through art. You do therapy, and it sort of helps with
Okay.
the trauma and stuff. And like I said, Miss Wanda Best, who started this organization with a very beautiful vision that it would help the people who've been through trauma. They help any women, children, can be part, go in and be helped with this organization. It helps you to heal.
Okay.
Well, Art Transforms does have a domestic violence division, right? They do a support groups, they
Okay,
do
all right,
seminars
yeah,
and stuff from time to time.
okay,
So
yeah.
it's kind of related, or subdivision.
Well, they do. Yeah, she Wanda does have a what you would call it, a powder room. It's called the powder room, and women come in from all over, and just speak about the traumas and things.
Okay.
All right, then I would like to add one phone number.
Okay.
It's for the New York Hope APE.
I'm sorry,
It's
New
a
York.
Hope HOPE.
Okay.
That's a 24/7. So in the middle of night, if you have nobody to talk to, you
Okay,
can
let
call
me
this
put this
number.
down.
Yeah,
24
yeah.
7. Go
That's
ahead.
that's my favorite number to bother sometimes. I don't abuse too much, but I will. I don't want to tell the same sobbing story or complaints about the same thing to a same friend because they already know that. What do they do? Like Yuko is saying same thing again, right? So I'll need sometimes like a fresh ears to
Right,
listen to.
right.
And then New York Hopes people are like a sitting duck, they are there, to take the phone call. And then they're really, pretty good. You have to say at the very beginning of the call, I'm not seeking any reference, I'm not seeking for information, don't give me phone numbers to call. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to solve my problem, you just have to listen to me, and then they'll calm down, and they'll receive your story like 1 hour. Sometimes I will occupy them 1 hour, and then they are very good, they are very attentive. So I
Okay.
feel like I was heard, and I didn't have to bother the same set of friends, so I feel doubly good. So that's my recommendation, New York Hope. 800 621
621.
4673.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So New York Hope 24/7 1-800-621-4673.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we have all the numbers here, everybody.
Right. And I'll give you mine too as well, Angel.
Yeah, I have that. You want to put yours
Okay,
up
yeah.
here? I have it from the last time.
Okay, yeah, that would be 718-938-8963. And I
Yes.
take calls from women, even if I, don't have all the answers for you. I can try and guide you and give you as much information
Right.
as I can. But mostly what I just try to help a woman calm down just even like Yuko says, to lend an ear, just hear what they have to say. Let them know that somebody's there to listen and care, and I would try to help you as much as I can, even just emotional, just a kind word, and help you calm down.
Okay. Okay, so now we have Carolyn's number. We have all these numbers.
Right, right. There's so many resources that,
Yes, there are so
Yes.
many resources. Don't stay. Don't
yeah,
stay.
yeah, yeah. Get help. It's
Get help, exactly.
Yes. And I would like to add, I encourage anyone listening to put the fear aside just for a moment, about the fear of other people judging and other people saying something. Just take that small step and make a phone call. Do that for yourself.
Yeah, and then knowledge is power. And so if you do a lot of a Google search and you become expert on something, some code procedure, for example,
Right.
then you feel empowered already. You feel like you can do this. So just be curious and then do research, especially for immigrant populations. You might have a little, you know, timid idea about your lack of English. I was like that too. My English is still not great, but it was much worse, right? So I would not make a phone call. A phone call is like a scary thing to do, and a lot of things are limited. But this is like just like exercise. You gain the muscle if you do it.
Right. Right.
Because you're sucky at it. That's why you do it, to practice. So that's a mindset you should have, probably. Like, if your English is sucky, use it to make it better. And then
Right.
as for the um IR, no, ICE and stuff, don't be afraid too much. If the police comes and they investigate your case, they are not supposed to tell about your immigration status to anybody, including ICE. So you are not going to get deported automatically. It's totally separate. You call the that 24/7 number, New York Hope. Don't be worried. Like, it's not going to tie into any institute, like a Japan consulate. No, nothing.
Yeah.
So just don't be too paranoid about like a government or scamming you or whatever. that will stop you too much. So just be a little like confident about your English, and then trust the key people. You don't have to tell your social security number to everybody, but you trust enough people so that you can get started with some procedure to get help. That's what I suggest.
yeah. And also, I'd like to add on a couple of safety tips when we go back to, because this presentation was based on rape, was mostly what our focus was going to be. Okay, so I mean, and I understand, like a lot of women feel like, well, I can wear whatever I want. This is a free country. If I want to walk down the street with my skirt all the way up, nobody, has the right to rape me. And you're right. I mean, I get it. I get it that you should be able to wear what you want, but you have to also take into consideration that, sometimes when you are dressed like that, over provocative, I mean, you could be, inviting trouble. So, like I said, I'm not trying to tell women that you can't wear what you want to wear, but just try to be selective when you leave the house what you're wearing, because you could invite trouble that way for yourself. And then, of course, always walk in lighted areas where there's around people, or ask someone, to walk you to your car if you can, if you're leaving work and you work, late at night. And again, lighted areas, and areas where there's, people around, that, that if you began to be attacked, someone would hear you. And when you're with your friends, stay together. Don't go out drinking and then leave. One leaves and or with somebody or something. And if you meet a man, he really likes you, he'll take your telephone number and he'll call you, he'll contact you to see you again. So don't worry if you don't walk off with him. Like I said, if he really likes you and he's a decent person, he'll ask you for your phone number and he'll contact you, at another time.
Yes.
Also, a lot of times, we don't realize it, but like when we go out drinking, of course, when you first get to the bar, you haven't had your drinks yet or whatever. So you're in a sense, you're safer in a sense because your mind is not, you haven't had any alcohol inside of you yet. So of course you're looking around, you're observing all what's going on around you. But then when you start drinking, of course, you're slowly taking away some of your senses about what's going on around you. I'm not saying not to drink. I mean, go out, have a wonderful time, but stay together with your friends and, just be aware of how, who's there and what's going on around you. Again,
Yes.
stay together with your friends and, it's just, stay in public places and also jogging early in the morning. I mean, I don't know if everybody was familiar with, there was a woman there, I forgot where it was, but she went out jogging at 4:30 in the morning. Again, yes, this is a free country. I get it. You have the right to go out jogging. You should have the right. But again, try to make choices where you're going to be safe. You know, don't just say, well, okay, hey, this is my neighborhood. I have the right to go out anytime I want. In reality, you do have a right to be out anytime you want, but that may not always be the safest thing for you to do. Okay, so just bringing out some of these safety points. Stay safe and watch your surroundings. What's going on? Pay attention. Get off the cell phone sometimes. If you're leaving a place and you're walking alone, put the cell phone away until you get home. Watch what's going on around you because not to scare you, but there are predators out there who will harm you if they got the opportunity. For rape to take place, you need two things. You need a man that's willing to rape, and then you need a woman who's vulnerable. Those two aspects
Exactly.
together. Okay, so
Yes.
yes, just stay safe out there. That's what we'd like for you to know. Okay. So, Suzanne, do you have? Does anybody have any questions?
I am muted because my daughter just got home and the dogs are barking.
Okay. Okay, so we're just asking if anybody has any questions, we'd like to answer them.
I'm actually looking up to see if there's
Okay,
any questions right now.
We can wait.
Let me just tell everybody that we're going to start the other show as soon as this one is over.
Okay. Okay. Yes, the truth hurts. That's very true. Stay together with your friends.
Yes, yes. Again, it's like there's also power in numbers. So
Yes,
even if
yes.
it's only two, but imagine if there's three or four. It doesn't matter if you know how to fight or all of these things. If there are four women who are like, you're not doing that to me, they can handle themselves. And it really is safer to stay together with your friends. And I think we also should be thinking how, as a friend, how good a friend are we? I mean, how could I say, oh, this person is my best friend, and then I meet some guy that I want to hang out with, and I leave her at the bar, and she's already half drunk, and it's just like, how can I do that to her? Like,
Right.
that's not being safe. So we really need to think about how we can support each other and help each other out and be safe.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's great. So, Marla, do we have any questions?
I see one. Caroline, did you ever work with Judge Letty?
No, I've never worked even inside of a courthouse. Well, I'll give you just a little description. Suzanne, Yuko, and myself, as you know, we are survivors. And a couple of years back, the mayor's office was looking for women who had been abused but were out of the abusive relationship. And the main justice center is in Manhattan, and it's also attached to the prosecutor's office. So the mayor's office was doing like this pilot project where they wanted women, of our status, that we were abused and we were out of the relationship, and they brought us in at night. We were given a beautiful dinner, and the prosecutors wanted to talk to us because we lived with these kind of guys. They just wanted to get an insight of what they could. What we could teach them about it, what programs might be good, how to organize things. So at the time, I mean, myself, I was volunteering in the Brooklyn Justice Center, and then that's how I was called. And I went to the mayor's office, and of course they said, "Okay, you're a candidate," and that's how it all got started. We became the voices for the mayor's office, and then after that, the project kept going, and of course, we were learning. We were like, redeveloping our lives again, and I began to get good at speaking in public. So they give us a lot of assignments to do. Like I said, we'll go into like Farley Square and talk to a crowd of over thousands of people, just like we're talking to you tonight. We give different speeches about different things. We do all kinds of projects. And then Suzanne, Yuko, and myself, and a couple of other ladies, we also have some of our own projects out of the mayor's office. Like one of the things we do is we go into the New York City subways. Uh, we go down actually into the subway together. There's about five of us, and we set up tables and we look for women. We give them a chance to come to the table. They'll see all the signs, and sometimes we even go dressed with a black eye. We paint on a black eye, and we do a little, like a little domestic violence skit. Like a woman being abused and just talking, and then we get them to come to the table. And of course, we hand them brochures. We talk to them. So it's a way of kind of seeking out women, who've been abused. It's just one of the ways of reaching out. But we do a really big number of projects. We do.
Are there any more of those hand signals like the one you gave earlier, like for people who have been trafficked and they're trying to get out, and just anything of that nature?
Yeah, the only one I know of is that one at the
Okay.
moment. That's the only one I know of right now at the moment.
And that hand signal is also for human trafficking.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
good to
Someone
know.
who is being
Right.
trafficked, it's
Yeah.
across the board. It's for anything. It means danger. And even if a boy or a young man does that, it means they are with a trafficker.
Right.
That they're in a difficult situation and they're in danger. So it's across the board. Hey, please help. Yes.
And it's a little related issue. It's like you are in danger. You are almost getting killed by your abuser right now, and you want to call the police, but you can't say, "Hello, police, can you come?" Right? Because he's right there listening. So you just grab the phone, call the police, but pretend you are ordering the pizza. That's the getting norm. It seems the dispatcher is now getting trained to
Yes.
say, "This is not pizza. are you do you have anybody else that you can't talk? It's because of that you can't talk or something like that. They will ask you. Then you can, after that, you can say just yes or no or something. You don't have to say much. And then, the delivery to this number, this address, you can say your address so the police can come to your address, and the abuser would think, just she's just ordering pizza. So that's
Can
yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you show that hand signal again?
Okay, sure. It would be this. Okay, thumb goes in, fingers come down, and that's the sign that you're in a stressful, you're under stress, the duress. You
Mm.
need that you
Yeah.
need help. It's a silent way of asking for help.
Like this.
Thumb goes in, fingers come down.
Okay.
I see like a TikToks are doing that these days, getting videos out, short videos out with that.
Right, right,
And yeah,
right.
so it's getting there.
Right. Okay. All righty. So again, do we have
Thank you
any more
so
questions?
much. This was so great. Thank you. Really, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I'd like to thank you,
Okay.
ladies. You guys have such beautiful spirits, and it's just awesome
Thank
just
Yes.
for
you.
coming out here telling everybody how to stay safe.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much,
Right.
especially you,
Right.
Susanna, and everyone else. Just thank you guys for coming on here and sharing your stories.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention something to you that, when we do this work, we sometimes go to conventions. We represent the table of domestic violence, but a lot of other organizations come in too. There's organizations for autism. So maybe in the future, we have a very dear friend who's been working for autism for 25 years, and she's has a lot of information. So possibly we could do a show on autism too.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
yeah.
That
I
would be
mean, the more we can help the community, the better
Yes,
everybody
definitely.
stands.
Yes.
Okay.
Without
Yes.
a doubt. Definitely.
Okay. So
I'm up for anything you want to
okay,
do,
great,
Caroline.
great. We have more topics. Yes. And again, for all the wonderful men that took the time to come here tonight, you're in my heart, and I thank you so much for coming in to listen. And again, talk to other men, let them know that this is wrong. And all the women that were here tonight, again, if you're in a bad situation, I wish you luck. I wish you get help, and I'm so glad that you tuned in as well. Thank
And
you,
men
everyone.
too, if you are a victim, just come out and then
Yes.
get help.
Right. We're here to listen.
You
We're,
deserve
we're
better.
Yes.
yeah. We're not just
Yes.
we're not just that number on the subway. We're real victims, real women. And when you call us, we're going to talk to you and help you. Okay.
Yes.
So, all
Thank
right.
you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Stay
Thank
safe,
ladies.
Yes.
everybody.
Thank
Good
Thank
night.
you so
Thank
you.
you.
much
Stay
Thank
safe.
you,
for
ladies,
Thank
Stay
again.
safe.
you. All of
opening
you.
the
Okay.
Thank you. And
platform.
good
Okay.
luck. Good luck.
Yes.
It was so nice
Yes.
to have
you.
you on. Please
Thank
come
you.
back.
We
Yes,
are.
Yes.
We are.
definitely.
All right.
Okay.
I'm thinking of
God
a
bless
few
you
Thank
more
guys.
you,
topics. Yes.
listeners.
All
Yes.
right.
All
Yes.
Very
right.
Yes.
good.
Thank
Thank
you.
Good
you.
Bye-bye.
night.
Good
Good
night,
Marla, thank
night.
you for
everyone.
your
Thank
assistance too.
you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank
Good
Good
you. God
night.
night.
bless.
Well, that was great.
That was really awesome, and I really
Yes,
enjoyed that. The
yes.
hand
Let me
divide,
just
yeah, that was really
the
good.
yeah, Mario, thank you so much. Beautiful message tonight, so informative. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we're gonna start our second show. I didn't want to have like an 8-hour marathon. This one was important to me. I'm gonna share this one on all my platforms, all my social media platforms. And we didn't have a big crowd tonight because everybody loves the drama, but this was so important tonight.
Yeah, very much so. It's something that needs to get out there. Just thank those ladies again. That was real. Their bravery is very commendable and inspiring.
Unbelievable. Really. I don't know if that's a bad idea, Adam. It seems to work. I know, I mean, they say that. But Are you ready to call this one, Marla? I don't want this one to go too long. I want this one to go on all my social media platforms.
Absolutely.
And now we're going to start the other show. Go to the other one. There you'll have, I'm going to do an interview that my nephew did today. I'm going to show that interview, and then I have a few choice words for the bullies of YouTube. And then I'm going to show the fraud of YouTube.
All right. We'll see you guys
See you in a minute.
in a minute.
All right. Bye.